Thanks for
Perfect.
reminding me.
Well, thanks for having me, Andrew. So I'll just break down what's going on. Is Andrew's asked me to come on and talk a little bit about social distancing on ice, but also to provide. I provided Samha with a couple different practice plans to start out, and we'll be doing a couple releasing a couple every couple days. That I'm sure Andrew will pass on to the directors, who will pass on to all the coaches. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just kind of touch base on, how to organize the practice, how to organize the ice session. And then I'm going to go through the first two drills or two practices. And then I've actually included some video, and most of it is just to kind of break down the drills, but also to show you that basically anything you can do a little bit. We have at the most 9 players and 1 coach. A lot of clubs, and talking with Andrew, want 8 players and 2 coaches for safety reasons, obviously depending on the age. So lagging a bit. You're basically working with 8 kids. Now, 8 kids on a full rink is extremely hard to do. 8 kids on a half ice rink is very easy. And because there's only 8 kids roughly, social distancing is very easy. And you can do almost anything. Some of the little tricks that I use to help the kids realize that they're too close is I always tell them to be a stick length away. So I tell them, if you can spear them in the back, you're at a good length, right? But if you can cross check them, you're way too close. So biggest thing is making sure the kids are mindful. Now, what I've gone as far, what I've done in the past is I've brought up my bingo dabbers, and I'd physically draw the X's on the ice. And I found that worked very well, because kids would look down and they would know where they are. But everyone has that little bit of gravitation towards somebody else. So that's where the stick comes in. Some coaches have drawn circles where the kids have to stand in the circle until it's their time. But if the drills are quick and the drills are and everyone's moving, then the kids don't really have to worry about the social distance, because they go from one place to the next before someone else takes their spots, right? So that's kind of how I organize when I talk to the kids. The other thing, and honestly, what I've been doing is I work with hockey academies, and I make the kids wear masks on the ice. It's a rule whenever I'm on the ice, they wear masks. So I went out and purchased 80 of the CCM face masks for their helmets. And I've made it mandatory for all our kids that they must wear masks on the ice. I always talk to the kids to make sure that the breathing and everything is okay. And I haven't had one complaint about, oh, it's too hard to breathe, it's this or that. And I've had compliments from the parents and the rink staff saying, you know what, great idea. Make them wear masks, and it keeps you safe. It keeps the kids safe. And, if a peace officer or somebody comes in, a rink attendant, they see the kids wearing masks on the ice, then, they you are taking care of the children on the ice. And Samha is doing a great job of making sure their kids are all safe. So that's now. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through kind of the drills that I've set up, and I'll tell you why I've set them up as we go through them. The biggest thing I look at is a lot of the kids haven't been on ice in 2 months, right? Unless they've been lucky and had a backyard rink, or have had a chance to go to the outdoor rink, but they haven't had a structured practice. So the first little bit, we want to keep it simple, right? So here's my practice. We'll go through the first practice plan. So these are the 4 drills that I have given to or shared with Andrew, who shared with everybody. Now, the biggest thing is, at most, like I said, you have 9 players on ice. 9's a great mix because you can make groups of 3. And if you look at the half ice, it is very big for 9 players. So you can separate those kids extremely easily. So I have 3 drills, and all of the first practices are focused on puck touches. You don't want to get into any types of systems because we don't even know if we're going to be playing. So this is all about strictly development and all about having the kids touching the puck or getting into some power skating type stuff. So for me, the first practice, I didn't care about power skating. What I care about is having the kids play with the puck, get moving, make good passes, make bad passes. Didn't matter to me as long as that they were moving and making lots and lots of puck touch. So this is what the practice plan looks like. So your first drill is all about just passing and following your pass. So if you look at the X's on the left at the blue line, they would be separated by about 2 meters. X1 would pass to X2, and then he would skate and replace. They could do multiple touches in between, it depending on their level, but it's a simple drill just to get their blood flowing and to start passing. So they would pass, and then X1 would replace where X2 is, and X2 would come up and pass to X3, and they would continue that. Now the coaches can do a whole bunch of stuff. So we can do, you can do one touch passes, you can do controlled passes that have stick handles. You can pass to the backhand, pull it over the forehand, make a pass, or go forehand to backhand. So there's lots of stuff. There's no concern about social distancing because, like I said, there's only 9 of us on the ice. So I hope this worked, Andrew. I apologize if it doesn't, but there's a video here. So this is a video I made my kids today. And before anyone comments, those are the best jerseys in the world. Okay. So no one's allowed to comment on the awesome Vancouver Canucks jerseys. Negative. So let's see if it works. But it's just pass. The students are all spread out. As you can see, if you can see a little bit, they're wearing their masks. But just a quick drill. Everyone's moving, everyone's touching the puck, and you know, after about 5-10 minutes, the kids are already exhausted. So lots of movement, lots of passes, lots of touches. The second drill, now we're throwing in a little bit of agility, maybe a couple extra passes. What you would do is you have lots of room. There'd be about 4 kids per side. You'd have 1 or 2 passers at the bottom at the goal line and 2 or 3 players at the top. And what happens is player 1 would skate, make a pass to player 2 in the corner, and then they could touch back. Player 1 would then work on his opening up, tight turns, kind of like a breakout situation, curl towards the boards, come over top, get it back, take it, finish with a shot. After, player 1 would go into the bottom line, and then player 2 would go to the opposite line to work on the other side of the ice. So once again, very social distance. You could put the X's in, you could put pylons in to separate the players, but same thing is lots of movement, lots of touches. You don't really have to worry too much about the kids gathering. So here's a video of what it looked like. Same thing, 1 goes down, couple touches, opens up, comes over top, and then finishes with their shot. After that, he obviously went the wrong way, but he would come back to the bottom of the circle, and then he would look on switching sides. So let's see here. Sorry, my clicker's not working. There we go. Drill 3, a little more agility. So this one, I kind of adapted this one. This one for defensemen, and you'll see at the end of practice too how it works, but same thing as you're having about 4 players per side. Most of the time I would have 2 nets out, so you could have both sides going at the same time so the kids get lots of reps. And basically what they're doing is they're doing a couple tight turns, they're coming around the whole group, they're finishing with the shot, and then they switch sides. Very basic drill, but you can make it as advanced as you can by adding different types of skating. You can do tight turns, you can do stops, you can do pivots forward and backwards. And then if the players are more advanced, you can do eagle turns. You can do outside, inside edges. You can do stuff with the puck. You can do defensive stuff. There's lots of little adapt. I do this exact same drill that I'm showing for you guys to do at novice is with NHL defensemen. So very simple drills, but it's how you teach it to them, and it's what skills you're making them do out of it, right? So don't worry about how in-depth the drills are. Simple is better when it comes to getting the kids moving. So the video you're going to watch is very similar. The student comes from a different side, and this would be a defenseman. So as he that same little movement, just kind of have the kids stopping and then taking out wide for a shot. Some players will bring it to the middle. Some will just go all the way around and finish with a shot. So once again, a very simple drill, but you can get lots out of it, and you can have the players moving quite quickly. And then the last drill, the sequence for your first practice that I designed, is just all about puck control and agility, right? Tight turns, using the puck. You'll have groups of 2 or 3 lined up. And like I said, if you have 2 nets, you can have a net at the bottom of each. And then more repetitions, you can have the players in line. So let's see the video on this one. So I got one of my coaches. Now, I apologize about the background. That's awful social distancing in the background, but they're a school, so they don't have to social distance as much as a club team or a minor hockey program. So I conned one of my coaches into helping. So he's doing some tight turns, controlling that puck. And you have 2 rounds of this. You'd have 4 players per side. And like I said, of everything else, you can add up any different types of agility. And then finish with a shot, and then lots of room, lots of space as we go. Now, I apologize if I'm going fast, so please let me know. Now, this is the second one, and once again, a little different, but lots of skating, lots of movement, lots of puck control. Once again, this is about development. We don't want to touch on any systems. We don't want to touch on one-on-one strategies, all that stuff. 1, because we're social distancing. 2, because we're not playing games. Let's focus on development, and then the kids can use those skills, or the coaches can teach those skills and build them into game type skills or strategy as we move on. So we have passing, we have skating, agility, we got some line movements, and then we have forward and defense kind of split up into a similar drill that I showed you earlier. So first one's awesome. I love this one. I could spend a whole 30 minutes working on this drill because there's so many different variations. Basically 5 or 6 players surround the circle. Now, it's perfect if you have 2 coaches, because then you get a coach at each circle and 4 players. Everyone is spread out. And then you work on passing, you work on control passing, you work on one-touch passing, pass, follow your pass. You can do, I hate saucer passes, but you can do saucer passes. You can do player in the middle. We do a one-touch challenge with everybody. And how that works is they basically, if you mess up, you have to go down on one knee. And then you just do 1 touches until somebody is last man standing. So a little game you can play with the kids is a lot of fun. And it's awesome with Bantam and Pee-wee age. Because they pass real hard, and it makes it a lot more fun. So here's a video of it. The one you're going to see right now is the players are doing a pass, follow their pass. So you'll see it, everyone's spread out, and they're passing, moving, replacing their spot. But once again, everyone's social distance. Like I said, my kids are wearing masks, and they're going pretty good. They're going hard. And not one of them is complained about wearing a mask yet. So we can watch that one again. It's a good one. Lots of touches, lots of passes. Any age group can do this, and they love when you play like a player in the middle. keep away, all that stuff. So I call it a circle pass drill. Then we go into a little 5 pylon agility. So this is more skating, all half ice, focusing on tight turns, stopping, pivots, any type of agility you can think of. You can do it without pucks. You can do it with pucks. You can finish with a shot. You can finish with a deke. Whatever you need, or whatever level your players are at. So once again, I got my coach to do it. He struggled a little bit. He fell the first time. So even for a college age kid, he struggled. So I made sure to give him the gears a little bit. So just simple. I used pucks. I didn't have pylons with me. So you just zigzag through, working on puck control, tight turns. And then after the end one, finish with a shot, come back in line. Or what I usually do is I make the players go on the other side of the rink and line up. When everyone's done, they just go the opposite way. And with that, I'll stop it right at the, if you can see right here, right there is where you're going to make a lot of your changes, right? You're going to get them to pivot. You're going to get them to stop. You're going to get them to, they can do a 360 turn. They can work on 1 foot edges, 2 foot edges, a whole bunch of stuff in that situation right there, which kind of makes the drill more dynamic. And you can do it with pucks, without pucks, anything you want when it comes to this puck control. Drill 3, I call it skating the lines. It's a great warm-up drill. The first top part focuses on any type of power skating, agility with the puck or without the puck. And we put in some dynamic puck control. Deke's video, you're going to see I use water bottles. So whatever you want with that, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have fancy devices or anything. Pylons, water bottles, even coaches standing there. Anything works. You can even get old cut up sticks. So this is what this one works. Obviously, we were able to switch sides because we were school, but in most cases, I'd run this on one side. This player was supposed to go to the right, but he chose to go to the left. But so you just do some skills down the middle, some skills down the blue line, and then you finish it off with some agility, whether it's deking, fakes, tight turns, crossovers, and then finish off with a shot. Now, when I get to the start of that, usually what I would do in this case, because you're running 2 half ice practices, I would take my bingo dabber and right where the blue dot is, I would draw a line across the ice and I'd have the players use that as the red line. So then their distance between the other group, and then they can do their agility, gives them something to follow. And then they can do a lot of stuff on that. They can do tight turn, do basic C cuts. More advanced would be 1 foot skating across the lines. They can do stopping. So lots of different tricks that you can add to this line warm up. The last drill in this sequence, I decided to have something where we could split the forwards and the defense. So if you are planning for having 2 groups at the same time, you can either have all of the defense on one side, or you can have all the forwards on the other, or you can mix it up, even add a point shot if you wanted. But the forwards are going to do a low agility where they do tight turns, puck control, and finish with a shot. The defense are doing a high agility where they're going through the zigzags and finishing with a point shot, or they can even take the shot wide. What I did was I filmed both sides. So this is what the forward one would look like. Oops. Just kind of zigzagging around, finishing. I had my players make a pass and get it back. Not a good pass, but a pass, and then finish with a shot. And then they would switch sides. So I had the forwards down at one end, but you don't have to. You could have the D doing the opposite drill on the other side. So this is the defensive one where they're doing the same thing, but from a high attack, working on their point agility. and then they're dragging to the middle, taking a shot, or they can take it to the outside. So in a perfect situation, you would have the forward doing the bottom one and staying in front of the net, and then the D dragging and taking a point shot for a screen. So then now you're activating the forwards and the D together. So those are some drills that I provided for Andrew to pass on to everybody. Obviously, I hope that kind of answers some questions about how simple your half ice practices can be if you don't overthink them, and you just use the KISS method and just keep it simple, but just focus on making sure the players are moving. Not every practice is going to be perfect, but if you think too hard and you try to plan too much in this hour, you're going to overwhelm the players. And especially since a lot of them haven't been on ice in a long time, we don't want to overwhelm them. We want to keep them moving and just focus strictly on skating, puck control, shooting for the first couple practices. And then you can start progressing into more complicated things. So any questions for myself or that I can help you guys out with?
A couple things, Waiter, before I'll just touch in on as well. I know there's been a lot of questions about, right off the bat, I'll touch on it because I know it's kind of a contentious issue, is about how are we dealing with our goalies? And what are we doing for our goalies when we have only one coach that's on the ice with them at a time and we're running either multiple groups? The biggest thing that I can say to you guys is that when we are developing our drills, if you're going to do your own drills or if you're going to do the stuff that Wade has talked about, is just making sure that your timing is down pat with when you're starting off both sides, so that your goalie has enough time to stand up and recover. And whether or not you need to just pull the goalie out if they're going to be taking a billion shots in the practice, so they're not being completely overwhelmed and completely overworked. I mean, if you need to give them a breather, if they need to step out, make sure that they know that it's okay for them to step out at any time during the practice and just go over and take a drink. The one thing that another suggestion that you can do as well is that, I mean, in the midst of the drills, once the drills start to flow, then you can maybe take a second to go up and touch base with your goalie and then give them some pointers if there is anything to give at that point, once the drill is actually progressing. So the other thing as well that I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to hear tonight as well is if you guys also have any other suggestions that has worked well for you in these situations, feel free to share with us as well too, because we're all ears and we're all a community and we're here to develop the kids. Second thing just to touch on as well is that, and again, if you are developing your own practice plans, depending on how your group is set up, some of the teams have been kept together. I'm not going to touch on about how stuff was or the process of that. Some of the teams are kept together. Some of the teams have two smaller groups that are on both sides of the ice. So if you do happen to have a grouping that you're essentially one prior team or one group that you're working with kind of both sides, feel free to split the ice down the middle as well. I mean, you can open up the ice and you can get the kids moving at a different rate of pace as well. I love that Wade has talked about just keeping the kids on the half ice to start off with for the first couple of skates. Just to get those puck touches back, to get the kids their skates underneath them, and to get them moving again. But I mean, what I mean by splitting the ice down the middle is not doing it at the red line. I'm saying drawing a line like vertically down the ice, and having your kids just kind of switch and be going down the ice up and down opposite ways. So that's definitely another way you can do it. And then use your full ice practice plans you've used in the past, but just split them in half. Andrew, that's all I have for notes that I jotted down when Wade was talking there. I'll just open up the floor now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute and ask away.
I must have did a good job.
Good talk.
The one thing that I've been doing lately, Andrew, is I would do my warm-ups up and down the ice, so north and south. So I would make my teams into an A and a B. And then we do about 15 minutes of warm up, and then I would make the A guys stay on the one side and I'd send the B guys to the other, and then I'd separate it east to west. So
Yeah.
then we go from a full ice warm up and down, and then I'd split it in half, and then the rest of practice would be half ice. And it worked very well, and no one's complained about doing it that way.
Awesome. Anything else from anyone else from the floor here? Any other questions, concerns, stuff we can help you with?
Michelle just asked about scrimmages, and yes, as of right now, scrimmages are off limits.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that, I mean, that's the big thing, the key point to remember is that the kids have to be social distance at all times. So if we enter into the scrimmaging, we can't guarantee they're going to be socially distanced. So we just have to stay away from any battle drills, any scrimmages at this point. We gotta try to shy away from.
Andrew.
Yeah.
When they are on like split onto two different sides, can they switch sides, like switch with coaches, or they need to stay on their respective side for the entire practice?
That's a really good question. I mean, for the most part, what we should be doing is, I mean, when they're identified in their groups, stick with their groups, and stick with the leaders that they've been provided with, just so that, again, what that is going to do for us as well is that enables us to contact trace if necessary. So that we have all that information and we can go just to the team. And if there is an issue, like we discussed at the beginning of the year with our COVID protocols, then it makes it a lot easier for us instead of having people jumping back and forth. Does that answer that, Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Beauty. Anyone else? All right. Well, we managed to rattle that off in a half an hour. I'm pretty impressed. The one thing to remind everyone as well is if you do have any further questions, please, if you have any questions for Wade or for myself or for anyone else, shoot us an email. And we'll definitely do our best to get back to you in a timely fashion and help you to the best of our ability. Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, thank you so much for staying on board as coaches and as leaders for our players and as mentors. We really appreciate the time and dedication that you guys put in to our teams. So for everyone that's on the Zoom tonight, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, your time and your effort. So, okay, if no one else has any other questions, then
There's one question from Michelle.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, Andrew. There was one question from Michelle. She was asking about even with masks on, they can't scrimmage, and that's correct. Even with masks on at this point, the government has stated that they still can't scrimmage. So
that's correct. Yeah, I mean, until the guidelines are either changed or modified, and if anything is modified, then we'll definitely be sending out information via your divisional directors to what those changes are and what they mean to us. I know there's been a lot of questions as far as, well, Hockey Alberta puts out one thing, the government Alberta puts out one thing, and then the city of St. Albert puts out one thing. So ultimately, we need to work within all of those different sectors to make sure that we're following all the guidelines. And at the end of the day, it is the facilities that we have contracts with. It's the city of St. Albert's building and facilities, so we have to follow what they stipulate for their guidelines as well. So, but we'll try to do it and make it as clear as we possibly can to coaches what we're able to do, and if stuff relaxes at all, then we'll make sure that everybody is aware. But yeah, no, good questions. Anything else before we jump off there? Wade, did you have anything else? Any other questions?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being on being on the Zoom, and yeah, have fun with the kiddos.